We've got two more problems. 24, we have two functions, f of x right there and g of x right there. And we're supposed to find f of g of negative 5. Now there's a couple ways you can do this problem, but I think the easiest way to do it is find g of negative 5. So what's g of negative 5? Well, you're going to take this g function and you're going to put in a negative 5 for x. So 2 times negative 5 plus 3. Hopefully you see it. This was g of x. I'll write it above it so you can see it. 2x plus 3. So you're putting in a negative 5 for x. Okay, great. We figure that out. Negative 10 plus 3, which is negative 7. Okay, so that's g of negative 5. So now what do we want to find? We want to find f of negative 7 then, because g of negative 5 is negative 7. So now we're going to go to the f function over here, right here, and we're going to find f of negative 7. So we put in negative 7, we're going to cube it, minus 7. What's negative 7 cubed? Well, it's negative 343. And then we're going to subtract 7. So what's that? Negative 350? Okay, so f of g of negative 5 equals negative 350. I forgot to put a box. Okay. Consider the function. So here's our function. It wants us first to find the x-intercepts. How do you find the x-intercepts? Well, that's when the function equals 0. It's when the output is 0, when it's going to be, when it's going to be on the x-axis. So that's what we want to know. When does the function equal 0? This actually factors. You could put it in the quadratic formula if you needed to. But that's how it factors. So 9x minus 1x is 8x, and then 9 and times negative 1 is negative 9. Okay, so x equals negative 9 and 1. Those are the x-intercepts. Now, if you're thinking ordered pairs, it's negative 9, 0, that's 1, and 1, 0. So in a minute, we're going to graph this function, and we want to graph those 2 points. Okay. Find the y-intercept. Well, how do you find the y-intercept? You're finding f of 0. Now, what was the function? Well, we had it here a minute ago. Okay, so we're plugging in 0 for x. At this point, it should be kind of simple. You know, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 0. So you're just going to get negative 9. That is another point then, 0, negative 9. You're putting in 0 for x, getting out a negative 9. These 3 points then are going to help us graph. Okay, so there's my giant graph paper. One of them was negative 9, 0. Let's see if I can make that a little smaller. Okay, negative 9, 0. And one of them was 1, 0. And then we had negative 9, 0, like here. Okay, if I'm remembering right, those were the points. Make sure. 0, negative 9, 0, negative 9, negative 9, 0. Yeah, okay. So how can I figure out where the vertex is? Well, I could use the vertex formula. So the vertex formula says find, let's see, b, the opposite of b over 2a. So our function was x squared plus 8x minus 9. So our a is 1 and our b is 8. So we've got negative 8 over 2 times 1, which is negative 4. Okay. So we know it's comma negative 4 something. Then we find f at negative 4. So put in a negative 4. We're going to hope it's not too big. Okay, and so we get, it might be too big or too small. We put in a negative 4, we get 16. And then 8 and negative 4 is negative 32 minus 9. So what's that? Negative 16 minus 9, which is what? Negative 25. Ugh, it's way off the chart. Anyway, it's going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. It's going to be way, way down yonder, further down. Okay, but the parabola We can do something here as we know that this is the axis of symmetry going through there. So we know 1, 2, 3, 4. We know there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We know there's a point right there because of the axis of symmetry. Now it goes down further, but it's going to look something like that. So hopefully there's a good one on the exam that's not quite that far down. Okay, I'll double check that. Last thing though, state the domain and range. Well, here's where it's a little bit tricky then. Remember our vertex was down at -4, -25. Okay, so domain, that's not a problem. Domain, all real numbers. But the range, even though you can't really see it on the graph, it's going from square bracket there, sorry, square bracket, -25 on up to infinity, right? It's going this way. Okay, so lowest point was down there at -25 and then on up. Okay, so that's the answer there. My graph doesn't look great, but like I said, hopefully your graph will look a little better on the exam.